I don't know what to do with my hands. So this is my third attempt at writing this godforsaken review of a Netflix original I really enjoyed. Ginny and Georgia, or Ginny and Georgia if you're fancy. I'm going to try and focus on season 3 and a few things I really enjoyed about it, because otherwise I keep getting more scatterbrained than a really good simile about something that's scattered-brained. I think part of the reason I'm struggling is A, trying to find the rhythm of writing, filming, and editing multiple times a week, and B, I enjoy shows like this because they don't fit into any one box or genre. They're a mix of light, dark, silly, and serious. You get a bit of everything. Be warned, spoilers ho, matey! Like, land ho! Spoilers ho! Or spoilers ho! So we'll start with the plot of this season. First, let me allow my brain the expansion it feels compulsive towards. My two favorite shows as a young teen growing up in the 90s and early 2000s were Buffy and Smallville. I can't lie, I don't think I even saw every episode of Smallville after Kristen Crick was completely done with the series. But I bring that up because I don't know what those damn whippersnapper kids are watching these days, and I don't know how many shows aimed at them are presented in the 20 to 24 episodes per season format airing weekly. That's one thing I do miss when I find a show I like. Not the airing weekly part, but the 20 to 24 episodes annually. Ginny and Georgia has 3 seasons, the first airing way back in 2021. I legit thought Antonio Gentry, who plays Ginny, was like 16 in that first episode. I was so convinced, I don't think I Googled how old she was until season 2, and I found out she was like fucking 25. Getting old sucks. A little bit of makeup, context, and everyone looks like a baby. I'm just a baby! Shit on a brick. You see how bad I'm struggling with scatterbrain? Anyway, I'm assuming G&G has a young audience. I just kind of wish they got more than 10 episodes a season every 2 years is my point. Although I did find out my dentist watches the show. And she's probably like 30 though, so she's still younger than me. The last episode of the season was so damn good, I legitimately didn't want it to end. Most shows or movies, when I know it's about to end, I start to get ready for the end. And there will be scenes where I'm like, oh, this is when it ends, and it's a perfect time to end. Then the piece of shit show keeps going on like a scarf being pulled from a magician's ass, and it's like, fucking shoot me. I'm bored out of my receding hairline gourd. This finale had like 5 different times they could have ended the episode, but it kept going, and until it finally did end, I didn't realize how perfectly fine I would have been if it just kept going on like that for like another 2 hours. That was pretty abnormal for my self-induced ADHD brain. Okay, that actually manages to tie me back to what I was going to applaud, the plot. Most of these types of shows have a team of writers. I would be very surprised if this was any different. The plot of the season is winding, like a right-wing politician when you ask them if Russia was the aggressor. But the themes that they weave in all come together like a fine tapestry of unknown origin. Please don't cancel me. The main plot centers around Georgia and her murder trial. They end up giving homages to Rear Window, as well as all the murder mystery shows, movies, and podcasts that flood the airwaves these days. I thought this was fun and kept things fairly light when considering she was most likely going to jail by the end of the season. That's what all signs pointed to. I thought the Rear Window aspect brought some entertaining levity. Georgia ratting out her cheating neighbor and trying to help out her romantically inept nerd neighbor was silly and fun. The other part of the plot that seemed to be the more pressing focus was Ginny and her high school experience. It was kind of nice they didn't just gloss over the fact her mom was in jail, and that kids at her school would be really weird about that or make shitty jokes, especially since her mom's a hot mom.
Who's that?
That is Ginny's mom. I know.
But I think what I liked about this season was Ginny was more with the themes they explore with her group of friends. The little cliques we form, how we grow apart from folks we were close with, how we push some folks away who just want to help, or only use some folks to get close to others. I thought they did an excellent job exploring these motifs. Also, Ginny's will they, won't they relationship with Marcus, played by Felix Mallard, was pretty wild. I really wish I got data for the demographics on this show. I think the first season it didn't get a ton of viewership, but I figured it would come back because the budget had to be small while the quality was large, big. I'd never seen any of the cast in anything before, and it was just 10 episodes. I know there's no way I'm part of the normal demo for this show at 40 and single. I'm like your worst nightmare about AI. Self-aware. But younger me might have watched it. Maybe. I did watch the first couple seasons of Dawson's Creek and a few episodes of Party of Five because Jennifer Love Hewitt. But like I mentioned Smallville before, I like that show a lot because of the relationship between Lana and Clark. Yes, Superman is my favorite hero, but without that, Lana in particular, and their chemistry, not sure I would have kept watching after I figured out the episodic formula for the show. This was before the centralized social medias of today, but there were still fan websites and such, and I'd see a bunch of people posting about wanting to see Clark and Lana ended together. They gave them the couple name of Kalana. I'm sure people my age, I'm assuming my age, have started posting them on IG now with that hashtag. I've always enjoyed a good love story. Not every movie needs one, but there's got to be some kind of romance in a TV series. So they toy with this will they, won't they with Ginny and Marcus. It's more complicated in Ginny and Georgia because Marcus struggles with depression and alcohol addiction as well. This is why he's not letting himself date her. It's actually a very mature move on his part, which is also why it's a bit out of place since he's just 16. Now, when I watch a show with younger folks dealing with love, it's much different from when I watched them when I was younger. I used to always wonder why Clark didn't just tell Lana the truth about everything from the jump, but then you get older and you realize folks hide a lot about themselves from others for a lot of different reasons. So when I see characters making decisions in movies and TV that might seem dumb on its face, there tends to be a lot of truth behind that in real life. I am a firm believer that art imitates life. You can't convince me otherwise. If you do, try. I'll think you're an idiot. So the will they, won't they carries on through the season, but they did something interesting by introducing a new love interest for Ginny, a guy named Wolf, who I thought was super obnoxious when he first was introduced. He's in Ginny's voluntary poetry class, but he's not engaged with the material or taking the class seriously, and seems to be playing some kind of a cool guy character. He's played by another guy I've not seen before, Ty Duran. But once you get to know his character, he quickly became one of my favorites. The dude's a decent actor with a lot of riz, as the kids say. He's also a giant nerd character, so I liked him a lot more. He meets Marcus, and they each know who the other is as far as Ginny is concerned, but they both kind of just acknowledge that and keep it moving. Wolf gets Ginny pregnant, and they present the reality of how history repeats itself, but they complicate it because now Ginny, the product of a 15-year-old herself, has to decide if she will have an abortion. Where had Georgia decided for one, Ginny wouldn't be alive, nor her brother Austin most likely. It's an interesting debate that gets the real-life treatment of, yeah, I ain't ready for that shit, so let's not think about it too long. I'm leaving out the ridiculously difficult quandary they put Austin in this season. I'll be surprised if this doesn't become a point of focus on the next season. As I've mentioned, thematically, the show covers a lot of serious topics. As we've already mentioned, alcoholism, depression, and Ginny's in therapy for self-harm. Some of the girls are dealing with bulimia, but they don't call it that. They just notice when one of their friends goes to the bathroom after eating, and maybe they hear them vomit or they come back out chewing gum. Then there's various types of abuse that goes on. I thought they handled all these normal teen issues with a deft hand. It wasn't overly dramatized or anything. It was awkward, sometimes silly, but always fairly realistic. Another topic they covered that I enjoyed was the FOMO we sometimes have with our friend groups. Sometimes, I mean, pretty much all the time. In high school and college years, this is definitely a more acute topic or sensation. Maybe I'm just a callous old man, but I don't really give much of a flying duck about what other folks are doing too much these days. You can't really pay attention to the noise of what others might think of you because it will drive you insane. But in high school or my 20s, hell fucking yeah, I did. And this ties into the highest praise yet for the show, and that's the cast. This is one of the best cast shows I've seen in a long time. While the actors playing the teens are mostly in their mid to late 20s now, I was still impressed with the uniqueness they all brought to each character. Each character felt authentic and genuine. Ty Duran stood out for me. He didn't really get a lot of lines, but he was a scene stealer when he was there. Katie Douglas was great this season. I've never seen any of her other work, but a quick Google shows she's been in a bunch of shit. Something in the water in Canada. They produce a lot of talented artists up there. The standout for me this season was Sarah Weisglass, I don't know how to pronounce your name, who plays Max. Her character gets put through the ringer a bit, and while she doesn't get a ton of screen time to explore this, Sarah manages to convey a lot of emotion with not a lot of dialogue. Her character Max ends up getting left out of their core group of girlfriends, a core that was formed before Ginny was in the picture. And Max is a very empathetic character, always wanting to help out or have strong opinions about wanting the best for her friends while being too young to understand that people you care about are going to do dumb shit and that's not your cross to bear. I thought she did a great job with all these issues this season. Max's mom tries to advise her to just be chill with her friends and avoid confrontation, but she can't help herself. There's a great scene where Max is performing in the school play, and her character in the play is how they find a way to express this to others through the musical. It comes to a head when Max has to decide whether to snitch on her brother, even though he threatens to never speak to her again if she tells their parents about his drinking, which is what an addict would do, especially a young or in denial one. Or she can sit by and watch him drink himself stupid. I was surprised most by Ginny's character arc, and it was executed with an unexpectedly high degree of craft. Like I said before, they covered this idea of whether we are destined to be our parents and or repeat their patterns, or can we break the cycles. Now, I'm leaving a lot out about what happens with Georgia and Ginny, but in the end, everyone abandons Georgia. It's her own fault, but the same reasons people leave her behind this season are the traits that helped her survive with 2 kids for this long. Ginny comes to the realization no one is going to help them, and it is ultimately up to her to save her mom and return the favors. She turns over a dark leaf and it never felt out of place. She's always been presented as a girl who had to grow up quickly and understood that her intelligence was her power. When she starts putting it to use in manipulative patterns, it was surprisingly satisfying to see. Now, didn't want to leave out the actress Nikki Rumel, who plays young Georgia. She did an absolutely fantastic job. She managed to really emulate all of Brienne's little mannerisms and speech patterns to a T. Very impressive work. If anyone's still watching, that was all over the fucking place. I went full ramble on mode. I guess I just really enjoyed this season and the show overall. I definitely recommend it. I was happy to see it sit at number 1 for a couple of weeks on the top 10 Netflix TV shows. They've got some big shoes to fill next season. My hope is they don't drag the show on too long. I think another 2, maybe 3 seasons would suffice. I may or may not do another episode covering maybe the other seasons as well, but I think this show makes me too scatterbrained to discuss in a coherent way. If you watched the show, let me know what you thought in the comments. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Anyways, I'm out. Thanks for watching. Deuces. Hey, look, I hit record this time. I'm getting better.